Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Betwixt the Books Discuss episode. 2 weeks in a row where we have a thing? Is it 2 weeks in a row?
Is it 2 weeks in a row? Oh my god.
I feel like it's either 2 weeks in a row or every 2 weeks. Either way, a good record for us so far.
Yeah, so we're working it. You might notice that Michaela and I are not in the same space. This is because I got a couple days off, so I went to visit a friend, and that's where I am. But this will not stop us from bringing our content to you because it hasn't in the past, and so it isn't gonna now.
She abandoned me, is what she's trying to say.
I did it. I did. You have me forever and always. I'm here for a couple of days.
I just realized it's kind of dark in here for me. Oh well, I'm gonna be in the dark. Tonight, we wanted to talk about reader's guilt and book guilt, and in particular, both of our feelings towards our Pop Sugar reading challenges, which we've been doing this year. And if you've been following us for any amount of time, you've heard here and there. Essentially, we both feel like at this point, we will not be completing our challenges. Not that we are going to just completely give up, but that it is no longer feasible for us to do it without like focusing solely on that, and neither of us really want to do that. And we have a couple of different iterations of this that we wanted to talk about. So what is it for you, Gretchen, that you feel most guilty about when it comes to this?
I feel guilty. I mean, we're both people who are like want to finish what we start. We're not very good at like just being like, oh, this isn't working out, so we'll stop. We'll be like, this isn't working out, but I said I'm gonna do it. So that's like how we function. And so I think that because I like the Pop Sugar Challenge as an idea. I like the different categories. I like that they were definitely open-ended enough to allow you to read something that you would enjoy, but also make sure that no matter where your comfort zone is, you are reading outside of it. So like you could customize it for your own personal reading preference, but you did have to read some things that you might not have normally. And I did like that. I definitely read some books for this challenge that I would not have picked up, where I had been thinking about picking up but weren't high on my list. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to read this for this. Like, for instance, Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. So like, I know, and I know that I could have finished it, which we can talk about a little bit later. But so yeah, I haven't finished it, and I know I could have, and that bugs me.
Yeah. For me, the guilt comes in when there are books that if I wasn't doing this challenge, I would be reading them, and I feel so bad. Like, I have Joe Hill's book upstairs that I should read. I have Laurel K. Hamilton's new book that I haven't read, and, like, past Michaela would have been like, nobody talked to me for, like, 3 days. This is all I'm doing is reading this. And I haven't picked them up. I've picked them up and read a couple of pages and gone, these are both really big books. They're like I think both of them are over 700 pages, almost 1,000 pages each. And I'm going, in this time, I could be reading other things, either things that I can read and review and like get out quickly or feel like I can finish quickly, or things that I could read that would fulfill a challenge that isn't this large, because they don't technically fulfill any challenge other than maybe the large book challenge. That makes sense. And I feel guilty for buying those books that are from my favorite authors when I'm not reading them.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's not as big of a deal for me because of the fact that I read a lot faster than you do. So, like, anything that I've wanted to read, I've just been like, okay, I can just take today to do this, and then I'll read another book later on. And just so anyone who hasn't heard of the Pop Sugar Challenge before, there was originally 40 challenges.
40 challenges, 41 books.
Yeah, 40 challenges, 41 books. And I think Michaela has 9 left, and I have 11. So just to put into perspective, like, how far we did come. We didn't just read like 5 books over the course of the year and say, nah, son, we really did make it up to the finish line. And I will say too about this, and I was just thinking about this, is that I feel guilty for the books that I read for this challenge that I might have read at a different time in a better light. For instance, there have been a couple of books that I've just pummeled my way through because I knew that I needed to get them done. And that did not make for a great reading experience for me of the book. Like right now I'm trying to read the Neil Stephenson book. What am I reading? Snow Crash. Yeah, and like I think that's a really good book, but it's a lot, and I don't want to read it in huge chunks. I wanted to be able to take my time with this book, but like I feel like I can't. And also, as it's gotten down to crunch time and I've been thinking about it, now I'm feeling the guilt of like, well, I don't want to read this, but I need to read this, and that makes me like dislike the books even more, even if I thought that I was going to like them when I picked them up. Because I'm like, I could be reading, like, I have an arc of Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. Like, I would love to, read that and review that for you guys. But here I am, like, well, it doesn't come out until January. I can push this back. And, like, just causing sadness all around.
Yeah. The other thing that I've been feeling guilty about, and you might have noticed, is that I haven't been making videos on my own, really, in the last, like, 2 months. And
You're welcome.
That, excuse you. Part of that is because I feel bad because Gretchen's carrying the channel and I don't want her to feel like she has to support us both in this. The rest of it is that I feel like I don't have anything to say to you guys. Like I don't feel like I because I've been having such a hard time the last 2 months, my depression was really bad and my anxiety was really bad. A lot of what comes into play for me in those times is that I don't feel like I'm adding anything to the conversation, which is why I wouldn't be able to comment on any videos. I wouldn't be able to like do anything but like absorb. Like I can take in videos. I will sit and watch things, but I won't be able to interact, and I definitely won't be able to create content. And while I have ideas for things I could do, I think at this point it's become a little bit of like a guilt / shame thing where like I feel like I'm crawling back to you guys with my tail between my legs without Gretchen there to hold me up. So
they love you. They want to love you.
So that's a thing I'm currently struggling with, and we'll try and break out of, and maybe review a thing on my own because I have things I can talk about. I don't know. Rawr.
I mean, but that's fair though too. Is just because like I think in my last wrap up was the first time that I was like, because I kind of feel like the opposite way. Like I usually review the books that I read, if only like a short little thing to say like, I liked it or I didn't like it or something. And if I have something longer to say, like the video tells you, like the video length will tell you if I think that I have something really important to say or not. But I think in my last wrap up, I was like, I read these books mostly for my Pop Sugar Challenge, and like I can't review them, and I think that's a couple of challenges that I've pushed back. That's kind of why I did it, and because I knew that like there's a book of poetry, and like I'm not gonna be able to review poetry. I don't read it enough to feel like I have anything like constructive to say about it. And so like I read Between the World and Me, and like how do you review something that raw and powerful? It would just be me going ha blah blah he's so good, read it into the camera. So I just like I feel like that was definitely a thing as well. So
right.
I don't know if you found that true in general.
I don't think that I took into consideration which challenges I would be able to review, but I definitely, after finishing a book, will sometimes feel guilty that it wasn't something I think I can review. So, like, I read paranormal romance. I've talked about it before on this channel, but I have never reviewed it because I have no idea how to even go about doing that. So when I read the Anita Blake novel, I'm not going to make a review of it because it would just be me being like, so there was this sex scene. It was kind of subpar, honestly. But, like, it's Anita Blake, so the gore was good.
I would
like,
watch the heck out of this video.
But it's not something that you really critique. And there are things that I've read that I've really enjoyed, and a lot of times when it's not like a fantastic novel where I can like break down all of the reasons why it's being brilliant, but it is still something I enjoy, that I have that feeling of like, I liked it, but I don't like have a way to articulate that. So the best I can do is be like, this was good, read it. Here, read it. I don't know. So yeah, I definitely do feel that way. I don't think it has to do with the challenge itself and the categories, but just certain books. Like I read The Girl with All the Gifts like way back when, and I like sort of half reviewed it in August, but like I still want to talk about it because there are things around it that I found really interesting, but I don't know how to necessarily. The movie's coming out, so I might go see the movie and then be able to be like, ah, yes, I now can talk about things properly, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a couple of the challenges were really fun surprises for me. Like my political memoir, which I thought was going to suck. I read Taliban Shuffle by Kim Barker, and then I watched Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, the movie with Tina Fey that came out with that one. And so I did like a joint review of that. And like that was a really, really fascinating like thing to do that I never would have done on my own. But I think not only just reading that novel, but then like doing the movie and then doing that joint review, like that was one of the weirdest and yet funnest things that I did, because it was just like I didn't expect to have so many things to say about that. So like that was definitely one of the good things, and that propelled me to read more of the challenges that I knew that I might not be that interested in, but at the same time, like we both fell into the trap of trying to make our general reading fit the challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, like trying to just and I mean like we both had TBRs at the beginning of the year. I updated my TBR a little while ago, saying like, okay, I've redone this with books I'm going to actually read. So like we did have an idea of what we were going to read to apply that to a challenge. And I think it would be really funny to do a video like at the end of the year being like, remember when we said we were going to read this? We actually read this, you know?
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. So I feel like that would be a fun thing to do at the end of the year. For me, because part of me feels like the way that I read is very much I look at my shelves, pick what I'm in the mood for, and read it. And oftentimes that could be 3 different books sitting on my table. I fell into the trap that I often fall into, and this goes back into my reviewer's guilt of like, I feel bad if it takes me a long time to like go through and do stuff. Like, I don't know how to say this. Like, I like long books. I like books that are slow, and I read them slowly in that way. But then I can't consistently put a review up once a week if I'm reading that type of book. And the same sort of thing happened with this challenge, where I'd be like, I really want to read this book for this challenge, but it will take me a long time, and I don't feel like I have the time to read this book, so I'm just gonna wait. And maybe a small book will come along that fits the challenge itself.
Yeah, so I think I want to bring this up to the kind of naturally segues into what I was saying earlier, which is that like I think that I could have finished this challenge, but at the same time, I don't know if the methodical way of going about this challenge would have fixed any of the problems that we're discussing, because like it still would have made me feel like there was something I had to read, like an assignment for school. So unless I was able to match the list up with like 41 things that I desperately wanted to read, and I think that's why our TBRs changed too, because like we were like, oh, we really want to read these 41 books, and then like a month passed and we were like, never mind, like I'm in the mood for this. And so like, how do you plot that?
Yeah.
But I don't know. So I mean, obviously, I mean, we were discussing the methodical way would have been to say like complete X chapters this month, X chapters, X challenges this month, etc., etc. But I don't think that would have worked for either of us if we had assigned
specific books.
Yeah, but at the same time, like,
I definitely think it would have been better to be like, okay, so there's 12 months and 40 challenges and 41 books. So I need to read this many books or this many parts of books specifically for the challenge, or even just, no, I wouldn't have assigned myself certain challenges per month. I would just say that I needed to complete this like number of them, because I feel like I went through like 15 in 2 months and then like didn't touch them for several months and was like picking at like 1 or 2 or 3. So I'm down to 9, and I'm going to get at least 3, 4, or 5 of them done and still have those couple left over. But it definitely would have been better rather than having this huge sprint at the beginning and then being like, oh, I'm fine. And then at the end being like, never mind, I'm not fine.
Yeah, because I think that the only way to do that would have been like, okay, so you have to complete this many challenges this month, because even if we just like didn't assign a book title to a challenge, but said like, okay, you're reading your political memoir this month, like we would have run into the same problem of like, well, that's not what I'm in the mood for right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, but then I mean, a double edge of the sword, you run into like December having the last set of challenges that you really never wanted to do, and you'll have to read them all at once. So you'd have to like pick out the challenges beforehand that you know you don't really want to do, like in general.
That's
and like
why
assign them somewhere.
Yeah, that's why I left some of my easy challenges. Like I have just a book with blue on the cover left still to do, which you said you probably have read one already. I'm like, I probably have, but the idea was that come December, rather than being like, oh God, I have to read a book of poetry, which I don't normally read, I'm sitting there going, I can just read any book that's blue. I have a bunch of blue books on my shelves. What particular blue book is calling out to me right now?
Well, then you have the weird challenges of like, so one of the challenges is read a book that the protagonist is your occupation. And as you guys know, like I was in school January to May. I graduated in May. I went back and I worked for my parents May to October. In October, I started work at Barnes & Noble. So like I had plans for that book. I think I've gone through 3 or 4 of them, but like my occupation has changed. So like anytime I got to the point where I was like, oh, I could do this challenge now, was like somehow right when my occupation was changing or had changed. So it was like, does that technically count? And then, I was like, oh, I don't want to deal with this right now. And then I, picked up something else.
So, I'm still counting the library one that I finished while I worked at the library is counting, because I was the librarian at the time, even if I'm not anymore.
I mean, but that counts though, because like at the time of reading, that was your occupation. Right. So like I just didn't I didn't read a book about a student. I didn't read a book about a waitress, and then I haven't read. I think I'm Mr. Penumbra.
Gretchen, read Mr. Penumbra's. Gretchen, read Mr. Penumbra's.
Yeah, see, and this is the other problem that like literally the challenges that we have to finish, maybe a couple of them we don't want to do, but also like I feel like the majority of them we really do. It's just that like
I only have one that I don't want to, like actively am fighting. Really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's one that I'm actively fighting per se. I feel like, I mean, there was also, and I mean, this isn't like any kind of blame to you, but there was like this idea for the last couple of months now of me being like, I have to read something I have to review because the videos are coming from me. So like I couldn't read like my book of poetry, for instance, which I've had that, and it's very short and it's very easy, and I could have knocked it out forever ago. But I also haven't been reading as much as I'm used to. But then I was like, I need things to review because I'm putting out videos right now.
Yeah.
Which, like, again, that's not like on you. Self-care is important, friends. Friends get each other's back.
I don't necessarily have reading slumps. There are definitely times when I'm like, I can't read right now. I can't focus enough to read right now, but I feel like I definitely go through review slumps where I'm like, I don't have anything to say. I mean, I've read like 7 books, but no reason to talk about them.
You should just do like a collection video, like every 6 books that you read but don't have enough to review. Just be
I did that one like mini review episode thing. I might try and do that to catch up on some of the stuff I've read. Well, I've been completely off of the face of the earth for everybody, but I've also been dealing with a lot of stress in my personal life, which has affected my ability to put myself in front of people.
So, yeah, no, my legs have been all over this video. It's like adjusting the way that I'm sitting. So here's a question while we have like 9 minutes left to our usual like 30 minutes. I think I already know the answer to this, but I mean, are we doing the Pop Sugar Challenge again?
I don't know if I would do it. I guess I would have to look at it and see the challenges one. I'm not dissuaded from it. Like, I definitely feel like it's something worth looking at and doing, in the same way that I say that I'm going to do the Goodreads challenge every year. Whether I complete it or not is really not important to me. It's just like a fun thing to add to my reading.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Like,
I mean, so would we then like take the challenge, accepting that we wouldn't finish it, or is there like a way to take it piecemeal? Because I feel like this challenge gave us a lot of our interesting books that we read together, and so I don't know, maybe highlighting like 12 of the 40 and choosing one each month and using that as a theme for like books that we're reading together. Yeah,
that's definitely a thing that we could do. I feel like I would never take a challenge without, like, I wouldn't say in January I'm not going to finish this, because that means that the whole year I'm going to be like, well, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to finish this. I would definitely pick up the challenge with an intention to finish it. But like, I'm not going to kick myself for not finishing it.
Yeah. I guess like the perfectionist academic, you know, teacher's pet in me is just like, I came so close. And like Michaela was saying, I have 11 undone right now, but I have to knock out 3 or 4 of them by the end of December for various commitments, books that I owe back to people. Because I've had like Patrick Rothfuss's Name of the Wind for since July, and I haven't read it, and now I'm this is the place where that book has to go back to.
Also, so, like, a good book. Definitely read it. Gretchen, read it. It's a good book too.
I think that this is an issue though, because everybody's been telling me to read it, and I'm like rejecting it.
The hype is there. I'm saying, as somebody who knows your taste in books, that I feel that you in particular would like this one. I liked it, and I don't usually like that type of book, and it's not because it's a very different type of that book. It's just that it's a very good type of that book.
Yeah. Well, I'll find out real soon. I might read some tonight.
To be fair, when I read The Name of the Wind, I read it primarily sitting in the hallway of Taylor's, at that time, girlfriend's dorm by myself, while he and her were like snuggling / kissing like a couple of feet away, because I had helped him reach her, and then was like, well, now I'm just gonna wait until that's done.
Alrighty.
I read most of it that way. So, third wheel book, yeah. And then I took like a year and a half or 2 years to read the second one, and then I just like read the second one in like a number of days, like consumed it.
Yeah.
So I understand this, like, people, this like, I so many people are saying I should read this, and I like kind of don't want to because Taylor was then like, read the second one, and I was like, I just got through the first one. God. You gotta be ready for it, and if you're not ready for it, then you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
But that's me reading all the time. Like, there's things that I know on my shelves that I'm going to love, but I also just don't have the time and the mood for it right now.
I mean, I think that's like the issue with reading challenges in general. Like, you have to really be committed to it, and like, we're really moody readers. Which I mean, like, you know, we'll pick up a book, like start it, and then be like, eh. Like, I either like finish it in one sitting, or I'm like, meh.
I'm a slightly different reader than that. You are definitely like, if I can't sit here and read it in like 1-2 sittings and bang it out, it's not worth my time right now.
I mean, that's not true though. Like, I just like, when I really want to read something, I'm like, every second of the day, gonna read this.
Nope.
Like Sarah J. Maas's new book. I literally locked the door to my room and I was like, family, no, go away.
See, that's not me. I'm more of a like, I wait until all of my things are done and then take the time to read the thing. So like I can't now because of like my job and stuff, but I would be the person who would like do all of my normal commitments and then at like 10 o'clock at night, sit in bed, grab the book, read the whole thing overnight, and then sleep for like 2 hours and continue doing stuff. I've reached a point in my life where like I don't sleep well enough or actually need to get up, and if I oversleep through my alarm, that's a problem. So I can't do that as much anymore. But
adult reading guilt.
No, very rarely am I able to like sit and consume a book anymore. I definitely read them in small chunks over long periods of time, oftentimes while reading other things. I'm reading Let Me In, but I'm also reading the second book in the I'm reading Silence of the Lambs, the second book in the Hannibal Lecter book quartet, question mark. And I also want to read the Anita Blake book that I have, and it's sitting on my pillow. I've been snuggling it at night. That's how much I want to read it, and yet I have not read it.
So since we have like 2 minutes, I will just put this out to you guys who are either watching this now or watching this later. I know this was kind of last minute, so like probably watching this later. You know, if you undertook a reading challenge, either Goodreads, Pop Sugar, maybe there are other ones that you guys want to share with us that we would love to hear about.
Book Riot puts out the Read Harder challenge, which is similar to the Pop Sugar challenge, but I felt was slightly more specific in a lot of ways. So like Pop Sugar had like a book with a blue cover, like that's very generic, whereas Read Harder is like very much genre oriented, or like they had like read a LGBTQIA plus book. Like it's more narrowed in its most of its challenges.
Yeah. So if that is something that you guys did, you know, talk to us about it. Did you complete it? Are you going to complete it? Are you not, and why? Because it's like, obviously we've explained our reasons, but you may have your own. And if you had strategies for overcoming, you know, your moody reader or something like that, because you've done a reading challenge before, because like this was my first reading challenge, so I wasn't sure how it was going to go. All of that, please share down below. We would, for our own personal reference, love to know. Because, you know, I mean, I liked it. I liked widening my reading like that. I just also, bleh.
I mean, we have a month and a half. Both of us can definitely read the number of books we have left in that time. If you really wanted to finish it and complete it, you could.
With what time? We work in retail.
What is sleep?
Something I need.
No. Only books.
Okay, well, it is 8, so unless you have anything else to say?
I don't.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope that you enjoyed. And we're trying to make Wednesday the new day for Betwixt content. So check back here on Wednesdays for maybe a live discussion or a taped video. You'll be able to tell because if there's a taped video, it'll show up in the morning, probably. Live will probably more likely happen at night. So, yeah. Thank you, guys.